Hi folks, the Filipina P here, and it's that time again. Time for another mailbag video. Today we've got a man whose family is about to disown him because he's dating a Filipina. A guy who seems oblivious to how badly he's being used. And a man whose new Filipina girlfriend might just be a companion for hire, and he might just be okay with it. Okay, let's get right to it with our first email from Donnie in Yarmouth, Canada. Donnie says, Hello P. I hope you can help me with something that's tearing my life apart. I'm 36, and after 8 years of marriage, I recently got divorced. Once I started looking around at the Canadian dating pool, I realized I was either gonna end up single for the rest of my life or I had to look outside the country. I started watching your videos, and after a few months, I met a Filipina online from Olongapo. I didn't rush things with her. I took my time to get to know her, and absolutely no money was ever exchanged. Our relationship grew, but I didn't tell anyone about it except my best friend. Not because I was ashamed, but because you said it wasn't real until you actually meet, so I just kept it to myself. But now things have reached the point where I want to fly to the Philippines and spend some time with her. If she's really who she appears to be, I want to marry her and bring her back to Canada. I know what you said about bringing Filipinas back to the West, but I'm way too young to retire, and I don't want to wait 30 more years to be happy. Although I haven't formally proposed, I kind of mentioned the plan to my girlfriend, and she was really excited and positive about the idea. Sounds good so far, right? Well, here's where everything went to hell. I finally told my mom that I had a serious girlfriend, and you should have seen the look of relief on her face, until I told her it was a woman I'd never met from a poor Asian country. Within 24 hours, I received a dinner invitation to my parents' house, and when I got there, I saw a bunch of chairs arranged in a circle, but not around the table. My mom had arranged an intervention, and the entire family was there. My dad, my two brothers, and even my little sister came in and took a seat and wanted me to sit down too, but I refused. I didn't want to feel like some drug addict about to be put in a 12-step program, so I let them sit down while I walked around behind them, as if I was the lawyer and they were the guilty ones. Ooh, nice power move, I like it. You probably know what happened next. They told me they loved me and didn't want to see me make another mistake. They were sure I was just feeling desperate and confused, and this was obviously a rebound relationship. Then my mom told me about a relative I've never even heard of who did the same thing. He married a Chinese woman who ran off as soon as she made it into the country. My dad said that if I continued with my plans, there would be severe consequences, and the relationship with the family would never be the same. He didn't use the word disown, but that's what he meant. After more harsh words were exchanged, I left the house and I haven't talked to them since. It's been 9 days. I just want to see what you have to say about this. Yes, I know I'm an adult and I can do as I please, but I really wish I could think of a way to get their blessing. Maybe you can think of something, and if not, maybe you can give them a call and explain why there are worse things than marrying a Filipina. Signed, Donnie. Well, I really hate that for you, Donnie. You're stuck right in the middle of a big ol' mess, and you didn't do anything wrong. I don't exactly know why they feel that way, except for that unknown relative that got screwed over. But it's actually a pretty common reaction, even in my own comment section. When someone says, Filipinas are slutty, I ask them why they say that, and I usually get the same kind of response. 9 times out of 10, they'll say something like, "'Cause I dated one and she cheated on me," even though they've only known one Filipina in their entire lives. They assume they know all of us. But drawing instant conclusions is also normal, and almost everyone does it. Labeling things is how we decide which snakes to be afraid of, which berries not to eat, and which people might not be so friendly. If you get lied to, or cheated on, or punched by a person with a certain skin color, or eye shape, or social status, you can quickly form an opinion about any other people like that. So don't blame your family too harshly. They probably just really love you and they're trying to help in their own twisted, overboard way. But the question is, what you gonna do about it? Well, before you explode on them, try to see things from their perspective. Is there anything your family might be seeing that you don't? Could you be so love blind to something that should be staring you right in the face? You didn't give me a lot of detail about what you told your parents about your girlfriend. But maybe she's got four kids from four different dads? Maybe she's still legally married? If you're sure you're not overlooking any obvious red flags, then here's my advice. Call their bluff. Play things out in your head, and unless your family are real dicks, you're actually in a win-win situation. Let's say you marry this woman and bring her back to Canada. After a few years of happy marriage, can your family really continue to ignore you as if you made a horrible mistake? I doubt it. Let's say you bring her back and things go south, leaving you emotionally broken. You think your mom would just turn her back on you? Again, I doubt it. But if you don't marry that girl, you'll forever wonder what might have been, and you probably end up blaming the same family that tried to protect you. Just keep your eyes open and your head clear. Do what you want to do and let the chips fall where they may. Good luck, Donnie. So our next email is from Ben in Liverpool in the UK. Let's see what Ben has to say. Dear P, I hope this message finds you and your family well. I just need your advice about something. I've been in a relationship with my Filipina now for 2 years and 3 months. We are living together in the Philippines. We are engaged. And we plan to be married in a couple months in the UK and then to stay for a short holiday. Lately, she's been treating me very cold and aggressive. Her behavior is very disrespectful, and she is very distant, and it's getting harder and harder to communicate with her. She is constantly on her phone and on Facebook Messenger, and she spends far more time on her phone than on quality time with me. When we have important things to do, such as going to the town hall to get important documents, she always has an excuse not to go. She has a health issue, like she is dizzy, or she acts like she wants to throw up. But there's always some reason why we can never get the forms we need. She claims she had an annulment in March of 2024, but every time I ask to see the papers, she refuses to show them to me. She says, you'll get to see him later, but later never arrives. I've also caught her lying to me, and every single time, I forgave her. We'd have a talk, and she'd promise not to do it again. But as a few weeks went by, it started all over again. I even found payment receipts from a fat old man called Otto. And I am not talking about just a few thousand pesos. It was 30,000, 15,000, figures like that. When I confronted her about who this man is and why he gave her so much money, she claims she used to work with him in a charity and the money was for the organization. I managed to track this man down and he claimed that my girlfriend was his fiancée. You can imagine my surprise, shock, and disbelief. I demanded that she explain it, and she said that old Otto was just teasing. He always calls her that. Anyway, to move on a little, she claims she sold part of her family's land and has 5 million pesos in her bank account. We recently had to go to the bank to get a statement because we needed to apply for a visa to go to the UK. When we got home, I asked to see the bank statement, and she said no because it was private. I managed to get into her folder, and I took a look for myself. To my surprise, the account only had 3,000 pesos instead of the 5 million she claimed was there. I don't give her any money, and in fact, she's the one that always pays for things when we go out because she says she's rich. She often spends a lot of money every time she goes shopping. I have no idea where all the money comes from or who is giving it to her besides Otto, but I notice her behavior is getting more and more aggressive and it's getting harder to communicate with her. I am currently in Liverpool to prepare for our time in the UK, and she is now in Manila, waiting for her visa appointment, but I don't even know if that's true. When I ask her the name of her hotel, she says she's staying with her uncle. It's now very hard to get a hold of her on the phone. And when I do, she claims that her phone wasn't working for a few days. Yet, I constantly see her on Facebook Messenger. She's due to be here in the UK in just 2 weeks, but I'm not sure if she'll even turn up. Me and my family have already prepared everything, and now I'm just waiting to get her on the phone to see what's going on. I don't even know if I want to marry her anymore. So, what do you think about my situation? And what do you think my fiancé is up to? I would very much appreciate your advice, and perhaps my story can help others. God bless, and if you share this with your viewers, please change my name. Thank you. Well, Ben, and see, I changed your name. I'm afraid your relationship has more red flags than a bullfight. I'm sure that every person who's listening knows exactly what I'm gonna say, but you somehow do not. So please listen carefully. Call off this wedding. And if you won't take my advice, for God's sake, at least get a prenup. As I was reading your story, I kept waiting for you to mention a prenup, but you never did. So I have a bad feeling that you're about to make a devastating mistake. Until you fix that, don't even think about getting married. But even if you already have one, I gotta ask you, why in the hell do you wanna marry this woman? Let me just go through a few of the things you said about her. She's cold and aggressive. She's disrespectful, distant, and hard to communicate with. She ignores you and spends all her time on her phone talking to unknown people. She won't show you her annulment papers or her bank statement, and she lied to you about having 5 million pesos. She's receiving money from at least one other man who claims to be her fiance. She spends cash like a drunken sailor, won't tell you where it's coming from, and she's vague about her whereabouts just 2 weeks before the wedding. Don't you see some problems here, Ben? Now, most people would seriously consider calling a wedding off for any one of these things, but all of them at once? I don't mean to be nasty or rude, but what are you thinking? You asked me what I think she's up to, and the best I can do is to take a guess. So here it is. I think she's probably catfishing as many men as possible, sucking cash from all of them and using you as her golden ticket to the West. She obviously doesn't care about you, so again, why would you want to have anything to do with her? If I were you, I'd cancel all my wedding plans, immediately block her from communicating with you in any way, change all your passwords on your bank accounts and credit cards, and forget you ever heard her name. Now, I'm sure you're not gonna actually do any of that because people never take my scorched earth advice. But please know that just about every single person watching this agrees with me and wonders why you can't see it. Be smart, my friend, and let me know what you decide. Sometimes I wonder if people are being serious with stuff like this, but every time I think it can't be real, I get a message just like it from someone else. Even my patrons, people who I actually know, end up in a situation like this, but I still have a hard time wrapping my head around it. It's like you guys think you're just passengers on a train, hoping it won't derail, instead of being at the controls. Figure out what you want, tell your partner what it is, and they can either meet your expectations or they can hit the road. To hell with that life is like a box of chocolates crap, where you just pick one and hope for the best. In this case, you get to choose the exact chocolate you want. And I choose raspberry cream. But anyway, you get the point. Grow a spine and stop putting up with bullcrap. Because if you give them an inch, they'll want all 7. Okay, so now we've got the email you've been waiting patiently for from Carl in Carolina. Carl says, Miss P, I'm not writing you to bitch about a Filipina. I'm just wondering what you think about the woman I'm wanting to meet. I get the feeling there's more going on than she's willing to admit, and it's gotten me rather curious. So I found this woman on a dating site, but I'm the one that found her profile first, not the other way around. And she didn't even respond to me for over a week, so it's not like she was desperate to communicate. She's very polished in the way she speaks, and she seems to be better informed than any of the other women I talk to. She doesn't seem to have a job, but she never asks for any money. She's obsessed with travel. Her profile talks about how much she loves discovering new places and wants her future boyfriend to take her somewhere she's never been, especially to destinations outside the Philippines. We started chatting, and I just can't seem to figure her out. Other Filipinas try to lock me down and want to know if I'm talking to anyone else. They get angry when I don't say what they want to hear or if the conversation becomes too sexual. And they message me so often that I feel like I'm suffocating. But not this woman. This Filipina is extremely flirtatious. She doesn't mind talking about anything, including very graphic adult subjects. But she never pressures me to chat constantly. And she even goes quiet for days or sometimes an entire week. I assume I'm not the only guy she's talking to, and that's okay for now. But I really enjoy our conversations, and maybe I'd like to pursue a relationship in the future. I finally mentioned going to the Philippines to see her, and she immediately started talking about meeting in Singapore if I'd buy the tickets. She has her passport, and she can apparently go there, no problem. I kind of laughed it off, and we haven't discussed it again. But I'm really starting to wonder, what's her deal? I've never talked to a woman anything like her, and I have to admit, she occupies my thoughts. But I don't want to become a victim of a scam I don't understand. So I thought I'd see what you had to say. What is this woman up to? Looking forward to your future videos. Carl. Well, Carl, I might be totally off base, and if I am, I apologize. But based on what you've told me, I'd say you might be talking to an international escort. Now, there's two different types of this kind of escort. So just because she hasn't asked you for any money doesn't mean she's not one. The first kind is what you might expect. For a price, she's willing to accompany you anywhere you want to go, and she'll usually tell you what the price is once you start chatting. She's willing to be your girlfriend in every way, and she'll make sure you have a great time in exchange for some cash and prizes. Sex is definitely on the table, and on the floor, the shower, and anywhere else you want it to be. It's her job, and she's mostly just in it for the money. But if she runs across a quality man, she'll consider becoming his. And when I say quality, I mean rich. She's only interested as long as you're paying. And once the vacation's over, so is your relationship. Till next time. Most of these women end up going to Japan or Korea, where they can make a fortune compared to staying at home. But you also find them on the dating sites, offering companionship anywhere you want, including domestically. Even though there are supposed to be safeguards in place to keep Filipinas from traveling internationally without a legitimate reason, there are plenty of ways around that system, and they know exactly how to slip through the cracks. As you might expect, after just a few trips back and forth, these women often end up with a hard edge to their personality, becoming harsh and jaded. They're all business, and their business is you. But there's another kind of international escort, and I think the woman you're talking to might be in this category. The woman that just wants to travel and will trade her companionship and her bed for a chance to see new places. Filipinos love to travel. It's our dream because it's something many of us never get to do. We often live and die in the same place we were born, so we come up with creative ways to get the heck out of town. Enter the international escort, who's not doing it directly for money, but for the experience. Instead of saying, pay me $500 a week and I'll go wherever you want, it's more like, take me somewhere new and I'll share your bed along the way. It might seem like a subtle difference at first, but it's actually huge because this kind of woman won't go anywhere with you unless she actually likes you. Sure, she wants to see the world, but she wants to enjoy the experience. To her, it's not a job, it's a vacation. And in many cases, it's also a date. Like almost every Filipina, she's looking for a mate. And in her mind, what better way to screen a potential suitor? But for the man, is there any advantage to dating a woman like this? Well, if you're concerned with a woman's body count, then probably not. But a surprising number of you guys have said that you don't care about a woman's past, only the way she treats you in the present. And if that's the case, then this kind of woman might be an interesting choice. She tends to be more worldly than the average Filipino, and she can communicate with you better. She's also more sexually adventurous, not necessarily because she's done a wider variety of acts, although most have, but because it takes a certain open-minded attitude in order to leave your home country and go traveling around the world with a virtual stranger. Call her a prostitute if you like, which you can claim about almost any woman. But she's not really doing it for money. Sometimes she gets nothing at all, and sometimes the guy ends up giving her a little spending cash or buying a few gifts along the way. But it's not negotiated or expected, and making a profit isn't the goal. So what about the girl you're chatting with? Well, you asked me for my opinion, so here it is. Just come right out and ask her what she's all about. Find out if she's been vacationing with a lot of guys she meets online and what she expects to get out of it. Some Filipinas will deny it, especially if they're ashamed of it or if they think you'll be ashamed of it. But most international escorts will just admit it. And once you know the truth, you can decide what you want to do about it. Now, a lot of you guys are going to disagree with me here, but depending on where things like virginity rank on your totem pole, it might be worth taking a look. You already said you were attracted to her mind as well as her looks, right? So even if she's doing what I think she's doing, maybe you want to go on vacation together and see what happens. If not, then at least you learned the truth now, before you invested any more time and energy. And you can close this chapter and find someone else to write your story with. Best of luck, Carl, and I really want to hear back from you. Well, that's it for this episode, and I'll be back next Friday with something brand new. If you want to hang out with me before then, visit me on my Patreon page where you'll find me in the chat rooms every single day. Till then, folks. If you think about it, I'm like Bond, James Bond, delivering classified intelligence for your eyes only. With a license to kill misinformation and bad advice, it's my mission to get you the truth about the Philippines. All I ask for my secret service is that you give a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel, and visit my Patreon page for extra content and exclusive features. And while you're waiting for your next debriefing, check out some of my other videos too. Well, that left me shaken, but not stirred.